Star Trek and SpongeBob is the crossover I didn't know I needed. Crossovers are one of pop culture's most delightful guilty pleasures. Whether they're official canon or wild, what-if fan fantasies, there's a strange thrill in seeing two wildly different worlds collide. Batman meets the Ninja Turtles. The Flintstones meet the Jetsons. The Simpsons meet Family Guy. But here's a mashup that might sound like a punchline at first, until you realize just how perfectly it could work. Star Trek meets SpongeBob SquarePants. Yes, you read that right. Captain Kirk boldly going under the sea. Mr. Spock attempting to calculate the logic of a talking sponge who flips Krabby Patties for a living. Patrick Star trying to figure out what exactly a warp core does. At first glance, it's absurd. But the deeper you think about it, the more the idea starts making sense, both comedically and thematically. Why this crossover works better than you think. At first blush, Star Trek and SpongeBob exist on opposite ends of the entertainment spectrum. Star Trek is a long-running sci-fi franchise about exploration, morality, and the human condition, often wrapped in complex philosophical dilemmas. SpongeBob is a surreal animated comedy about a sponge who works at a fast food joint and gets into slapstick adventures with his friends. But at their core, both series share three crucial things. 1. A world of limitless possibilities. Star Trek's Final Frontier and SpongeBob's zany underwater realm are both settings where virtually anything can happen. One gives you warp drive and parallel universes. The other gives you bubble-blowing competitions and sentient anchovies. The only limits are imagination. 2. A cast of colorful archetypes. Whether it's Kirk's charisma, Spock's logic, and McCoy's gruff humanity, or SpongeBob's eternal optimism, Patrick's endearing stupidity, and Squidward's world-weary sarcasm, both universes thrive on strong, instantly recognizable character personalities. These contrasts make interactions fun to watch. 3. An undercurrent of hope. Beneath the sci-fi jargon and comedic chaos, both shows are ultimately optimistic about life. Star Trek believes in a better future through cooperation. SpongeBob believes in finding joy in the little things. The tones may differ, but the spirit is the same. Put simply, these worlds might look incompatible, but narratively they're kindred spirits. The premise, how they meet. Picture this, the USS Enterprise, let's say the original Kirk-era NCC 1701, detects an anomaly in Earth's oceans in the 23rd century. Starfleet assumes it's some kind of cloaked alien base, or perhaps a subspace rift hidden beneath the waves. Kirk, Spock, and the crew beam down, except down in this case means to the ocean floor thanks to newly installed environmental field suits. Instead of a Romulan outpost, they discover Bikini Bottom in all its absurd glory, still exactly as it was in the 21st century, as if time has stopped for them. SpongeBob and friends don't seem surprised at all by the sudden arrival of futuristic humans. In fact, SpongeBob offers them Krabby Patties before they even finish introducing themselves. How is Bikini Bottom intact centuries later? Spock theorizes a time dilation field caused by the anomaly. Kirk just thinks it's fun. The episode ideas practically write themselves. A proper crossover could work as either an animated Star Trek special LA Star Trek, Lower Decks' style, or a two-part event, one in live action, one animated. Here are a few scenarios that could unfold. 1. The Trouble with Krabby Patties. In a nod to The Trouble with Tribbles, the Enterprise crew becomes addicted to Krabby Patties after Mr. Spock confirms they're 98% nutritionally efficient and 2% mysterious. Before long, the replicators have been reprogrammed to make them, and chaos ensues when the secret formula's mystery ingredient starts causing warp field fluctuations. 2. Patrick versus the Prime Directive. Kirk tries to explain Starfleet's non-interference policy to Patrick, who nods along as if he understands, then proceeds to cause massive disruption by convincing the Enterprise crew to install a warp nacelle on SpongeBob's Pineapple House. 3. Squidward's Space Recital. Squidward finally gets an appreciative audience when Uhura invites him to perform on the Enterprise. Unfortunately, his clarinet playing inadvertently mimics a distress call from a hostile alien species, leading to a high-stakes rescue mission. And Squidward sulking about ungrateful starship crews. 4. Plankton joins Starfleet. Plankton hatches a scheme to join Starfleet Academy so he can expand his empire to the stars, but ends up accidentally saving the ship from a Klingon attack. Naturally, he claims it was all part of his plan. 5. Warp Speed Bubble Party. SpongeBob teaches the crew advanced bubble blowing techniques, which somehow create stable wormholes. Starfleet science teams are baffled. SpongeBob just calls it fun with soap. The best character pairings. Half the joy of crossovers is watching characters who'd never meet interact for the first time. Here's how I see the best matchups shaking out. SpongeBob and Captain Kirk. The ultimate optimist meets the ultimate charmer. Kirk's used to being the most enthusiastic guy in the room, but SpongeBob's boundless cheer might actually overwhelm him. Still, they find common ground in their love for adventure. Spock and Squidward. Two straight-faced, sarcastic intellectuals, though one's cranky and the other's logical. Spock would analyze Squidward's pessimism. Squidward would tell Spock to lighten up while sipping kelp tea. Patrick and Dr. McCoy. McCoy has no patience for foolishness, which means Patrick would probably become his personal torment. And yet, Patrick's simple wisdom might occasionally stump Bones. Uhura and Sandy Cheeks. Sandy's scientific know-how and adventurous spirit would impress Uhura, and the two would bond over exploration stories, one about the stars, one about land adventures above the ocean. Scotty and Mr. Krabs. Both obsessed with resources, Scotty with the ship's engines, Krabs with his money. The two could get into hilarious arguments over cost efficiency when Scotty needs supplies. Tone. Balancing humor and heart. A crossover like this would lean heavily into comedy. After all, you can't put SpongeBob next to Star Trek without embracing the absurdity. But the best crossovers also sneak in genuine emotional moments. Imagine SpongeBob inspiring Kirk's crew with his unshakable optimism, reminding them why they explore in the first place. Or Spock acknowledging, in his subtle Vulcan way, that Bikini Bottom's simple way of life has its own kind of logic. Even Squidward might, just might, find a moment of joy performing for a Starship audience. At the same time, the Star Trek crew could teach Bikini Bottom residents something too. Sandy might learn more about interstellar science. SpongeBob could realize that his kindness and curiosity are qualities worth spreading beyond his own little town. Even Mr. Krabs might admit that there's more to life than profit, though not by much. The fan appeal. Would such a crossover ever actually happen? Realistically, it's a stretch. Nickelodeon owns SpongeBob and Paramount owns Star Trek, although since Paramount Global has owned both properties at different points, the rights aren't an impossible hurdle. Stranger crossovers have happened. From a fan perspective, though, it's gold. Star Trek fans who love Lower Decks' comedic tone would eat this up. SpongeBob fans would get a chance to see their favorite characters in a totally new setting. And both fandoms would have endless meme material for years. Imagine the screenshots. Kirk in a diving a sentient.